unapologetically black, I have to take care of the tribe first. I cannot sit here and watch. This is my blood family. How you think I'm gonna be? I can't worry about nothing else. I love everybody. But right now, I gotta make moves and I gotta use my power for the advancement of black people because we last.
Yeah, you heard that right. 160 years. That's the sentence that just got handed down to CN Diddy Combs. This isn't a story that's going to fade in a week, and it's definitely not one of those celebrity headlines you scroll past and forget about. No, this one's different. This one is heavy. It's deep. And it didn't come out of nowhere. This isn't just about one mistake or some wild scandal that spiraled out of control. This is the result of years, and I mean years of secrets, quiet whispers, sealed court papers, private deals behind closed doors, and stories from survivors that too many people ignored for way too long.
Got some information. We broke this story a couple hours ago. Diddy is behind bars, but he is enrolled in 2 classes in jail. A class for drugs and one for
domestic violence. These are programs that are offered by the federal government in the prison system for inmates, and he is enrolled in both of these programs. He's also, we're told, in therapy separate from those 2 programs. And all of these things that he's doing, typically for one reason, to look good for the judge.
Well, it's important because sentencing comes up October 3rd.
The courtroom was tense. The world was watching. And when the final verdict was read, it didn't just hit Diddy, it hit the entire industry. The sentence wasn't just long, it was history-making. And whether you believe it was fair or not, one thing is clear, something major has shifted. Let's rewind to that courtroom moment. The judge, Arun Subramanian, wasn't playing games. When he hit that gavel and announced Diddy's sentence, 160 years, everyone in the room went still. Dead silent. No camera flashes. No talking. Just silence. And this wasn't some made-for-TV moment. It wasn't a stunt to get headlines.
Testified, excuse me, that she was Diddy's ex-assistant. She said he her in various ways multiple times. He exacted unbelievable against her, threatened her, at one point allegedly threatened to take her phone and use anything on the phone against her.
The judge looked Diddy dead in the eyes and called him what he believed he was a danger to society. It wasn't dramatic. It was deliberate. The court wasn't interested in excuses. They wanted accountability. Now, you might be thinking, what could someone do to deserve a century and a half behind bars? Well, surprisingly, the charges weren't the biggest sounding ones you hear in movies. He wasn't found guilty of trafficking or racketeering. No, it came down to 2 violations under the Mann Act. Each of those could have landed him with about 10 years. But that's just where it started.
Finally been revealed how Diddy used his baby oil, and it's disgusting. This is Ariel Mitchell Kidd, an attorney who's representing one of Diddy's accusers, and she revealed some graphic details. The accuser was sadly R-worded by Diddy. A friend and a bodyguard invited them to Diddy's home. The attorney alleges that Diddy threatened the person with a knife. The accuser then alleges after being threatened by Diddy, they start to pull out a liquid-like substance from a fanny pack. It's this thing where the workers at Diddy's homes will all have fanny packs with all types and sorts of things in there that can get people disoriented, and it's really weird.
Once the prosecutors added up the other factors, tampering with witnesses, blocking investigations, intimidating survivors, and years of covering up those numbers climbed fast. This wasn't just a legal decision. It was a message. Diddy's legal team was stunned. They never expected a sentence like this. When they walked into court, they were still hoping for a deal. Their offer? 5 years. Maybe 10, tops. They tried to paint Diddy as someone who had made mistakes in the past, but had moved on. They said he was older now, that his recent years were different from his past. They even suggested that he had surrounded himself with the wrong crowd back then.
Attorney Doug Wigdor just sent us the following statement. This entire criminal process started when our client, Cassie Ventura, had the courage to file her civil complaint in November 2023. And Kira, we should say that's true. The criminal investigation is largely based on the statements in Cassie Ventura's lawsuit, and intensified, of course, once video from the 2016 hotel security camera became public.
But behind the scenes, something much bigger was going on. Diddy's team was trying to make a trade. There were whispers that he was ready to talk, really talk, to give names, to shine a light on the powerful people who had helped him stay protected for all those years. Music executives, security guards, even celebrities. There were rumors he'd turn on the very circle that once protected him. But the court wasn't having it. The judge and jury didn't want backdoor deals. They didn't want secrets for leniency. They wanted real justice. And they believed they had the evidence to move forward without any of Diddy's cooperation. Then came the moment that turned everything upside down: Cassie Ventura. If there was a single person truly shattered Diddy's defense, it was her. Let's not sugarcoat it. Cassie didn't just walk into that courtroom. She made a statement. She showed up 9 months pregnant, visibly glowing, but emotionally steel. It wasn't just powerful, it was unforgettable. But this wasn't about making people feel sorry for her. She came prepared. And when she spoke, everyone listened. Cassie didn't just tell her own story. She laid out how Diddy built his whole system. She talked about the control, the manipulation, the threats. She explained how he used fear, money, and surveillance to break people down. She revealed dark, disturbing details about the so-called freak-off parties. She didn't hold back. She talked about hotel rooms being prepared for specific acts. She described how people were forced into roles, how everything was planned, managed, and covered up. And the jury? They leaned in. You could feel the weight in the room. Let's go back for a second. Remember in 2023 when Cassie filed that civil suit? It got settled in under 24 hours. At the time, people thought Diddy paid her off to stay quiet. But now, it looks like that was just the beginning of something much bigger. Her testimony didn't just support the case, it changed it completely. It gave the prosecution the momentum they needed. From that moment on, Diddy's defense never fully recovered. And she wasn't alone. One by one, people close to Diddy began to talk. Former assistants, bodyguards, road managers, people who had worked with him for years started handing over receipts. And they weren't just telling stories. They had proof. Private jet records, deleted camera footage, audio logs, secret recordings. One ex-employee said their job was to disable security cameras during certain hours. Another claimed that recordings were categorized, stored, and locked in a special vault that only Diddy and one trusted person could access. And what's worse, those tapes were allegedly used as blackmail. If someone stepped out of line or threatened to speak, a clip might suddenly surface, just enough to scare them into silence. This wasn't just a scandal. It was an entire system of fear. One former assistant described realizing, too late, that they were being recorded while bringing guests into Diddy's homes. The fear of exposure was real, and it worked. For years, people stayed quiet. Until now. Diddy didn't just lose control of the media spin. He lost the loyalty of the people he thought would always protect him. As one insider said, he built an empire, but it's collapsing from within. One thing stood out in all of this: nobody in Hollywood came to Diddy's defense. Not one big name. Not even artists who owed him their careers stepped forward. That silence was deafening. Why? According to insiders, it came down to fear and guilt. Some of these people might seen things. Others may have heard the rumors, but chose to look away. And now, with Diddy exposed, they were terrified they'd be next. One music executive put it bluntly: he's radioactive now. Now let's talk about one of the darkest, most disturbing parts of the entire case: the baby oil rituals. This isn't gossip. This came out in sworn court testimony from multiple witnesses. They described it as part of an initiation process. People, mostly young women, were told to undress, then drenched in baby oil, and forced into degrading positions. These acts happened in hotel suites, Hidden studios, even in private compounds, cleared of staff. One person said the baby oil wasn't just for show. It was psychological. It made them feel objectified, powerless, inhuman. Another said the oil would be left on for hours cold, sticky, unbearable as a punishment. When the feds raided Diddy's homes in 2024, they found over 75 bottles, some full, some used, all stored behind hidden compartments. This wasn't a weird one-off. It was a pattern, a ritual, and according to the court, it was designed to control, to humiliate, and to silence. Even with Diddy sentenced, the storm isn't over. More than 60 civil lawsuits are now stacked against him, and they're not just surface-level complaints. These suits contain serious, specific claims. And though Cassie settled her case, her name keeps coming up. Some believe she might return to help others. Others think she's now the face of a larger movement. Either way, she lit the match. Civil attorneys are coming hard. Why? Because criminal court took away his freedom, but civil court can take away his fortune, his homes, his businesses, his image, everything. And in civil court, they don't need proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Just enough evidence to say, this probably happened. That's a much lower bar to hit. Here's a deeper question. No one's asking out loud, was this truly a fair trial? Some legal analysts say the trial felt more like a media event than a court case. Cameras outside, protesters chanting, hashtags trending online. Jurors were under pressure. One even admitted it felt like they were being watched while they made their decision. Some said it felt less like they were deciding on Diddy the man, and more like they were deciding on decades of silence, of cover-ups, of hurt. That's a heavy burden to carry. Could any jury stay completely unbiased with that much pressure? Here's the truth. Diddy didn't create this toxic system alone. And now that he's down, people are wondering who's next. Who else was involved? Who stayed quiet? Who helped cover things up? This isn't just about one man going to prison. This might be the start of something bigger. Something that could shake the whole entertainment world to its core. The music industry? It's nervous. People are already lawyering up, scrubbing phones, checking endless. Because when one domino falls, others follow.